really just meditating on the promises of God has been really big for both of us because it reminds us that He has a plan. And like I said, if we don't know what it is, that's okay, because He's going to make a way, because He always does, and we just have to do our part. But I plan on next season, hopefully, if everything falls into place, doing the Better Half Dash. I was getting texts from people like, oh my gosh, glad to see Kyle get out of that. Oh my gosh, wow, glad, Kyle's okay. Nick Terry, the NASCAR chaplain, heading to the infield care center to check on Kyle, and I'm like, freak did I miss?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another podcast, the Pit Crew podcast for episode number 20. I'm joined by Cameron Romano. Later on, we'll be bringing on special guest Meg Weatherman. So I'm excited. Cameron, how you feeling, buddy?
I am really excited. This is my fifth episode.
You're killing it. You're killing it.
Fifth episode. Killing it. Thank you, DLB. We got a really awesome show lined up. We got Meg Weatherman, and stick around. We're gonna be giving away some merchandise after the show. So DLB, why don't we bring in our guest of honor?
I think we should. Let's bring her in. How's it feel to be on?
This has been a long time coming.
Absolutely. Love to have you. We got a lot of fun questions for you, so let's go ahead and kick it off. Where are you from, and how did you get into motorsports?
Oh, Lord. So I am from Charlotte. I'm one of the few that's born and raised here. And my husband is Kyle Weatherman, so that's kind of how I got into it, which is kind of weird because growing up in Charlotte, you would think, that's one of the hubs for racing, right? And my family, we never got into racing. I had never been to a race, and I got into it 100% by meeting Kyle. And now I'm hooked.
I think we got to go back to the beginning. How did you meet Kyle? The fans want to know.
Okay. As romantic as it is, he slid into my DMs. And that's it. Like, there's no, oh, we met on whatever. He slid into my DMs on Instagram, and then he ghosted me, and and then we came back together because I was wanting to do more with content creation, and I was like, let's hang out, let's create content together. And so we actually met at Top Golf. I didn't think it was a date. He thought it was a date. He looked so nice. He smelled good. He was dressed nice. I showed up in a t-shirt and hey dudes, and I was like, let's play some golf and, make some videos and stuff. And then we fell in love, and that's where we're at.
My man, slide into the DMs.
So not very romantic, but
so
yeah, slide into the DMs, take the risk.
How long was it before you started going to the racetrack with him?
Oh gosh.
And what was the first race?
About a month. Charlotte. So the first race was Charlotte. Actually, you know what? No, the first race that I went to where he raced, because he didn't qualify for Charlotte, but the first one he raced was Atlanta that I saw. And I remember he told me at the Charlotte race, meet me at the holler, and I didn't know what a holler was. He's like, meet me at the holler, and I'm like, what in the heck is that? And so he's like, who is this chick? Like, what have I signed up for?
That is so funny. Okay, so obviously you've been doing a lot of traveling now. Do you got a favorite track or location? I mean, you pretty much have traveled the entire schedule this year. What has been your favorite place to travel to?
Oh, gosh. I love going to Watkins Glen just because of how, oh, you agree. I love just the area. It's beautiful, the lakes, the mountains, it's gorgeous. But track-wise, my favorite track is probably Daytona. Definitely Daytona, just because everyone goes all out. You never know what's going to happen. So much can happen that you really can't decide like who's going to win because of so much chaos that can happen at these super speedways. And yeah, between those two, those are my two favorite.
Absolutely. It's always so much fun having you and Kyle at the track. I mean, do you have a favorite memory from this year? Because I know this year has been eventful over with the 91 car, and obviously Dover was such an incredible run. Daytona, the second one, we got some good radio chatter from you. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of really cool moments from this year. Do you got a favorite memory from this year?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. I think My favorite memories in general, that's a hard question because I'm like, gosh, what did we do this year? There was so much that I feel like went on. Some of the best memories I feel like are in the infield when we're handing out stuff and meeting people and just getting to know people, why they love the racing scene, who their favorite drivers are, and what their traditions are. That's something I love to do. But I think my favorite memory is after my mom passed, Kyle had in loving memory of Barbara Brooks on his car. And that was just really sweet. And he ran it for a couple of races. And even now with October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, he has her name above the door. And just that's a core memory that I'll forever be thankful for.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that they've been putting her decal in the car. They even did that for this weekend at Homestead, I believe, which is going to be super fun because we got a really cool paint scheme for Homestead, and that's going to be a fun race.
Me and Kyle are in the scheme. Did you see it?
Whoa, they did tell me about that. You're a skeleton, right?
Scheme.
Aren't you? You and Kyle a skeleton? That's right. They did put you all in the paint scheme, so it's gonna be fun.
I know they threw some hair on one of them.
Yeah, it's we got an eventful paint scheme. If you don't know, it's we got this beautiful pink skeleton Miami style paint scheme we're running at Homestead. So, were you familiar with NASCAR very much, or knew anything about racing before meeting Kyle, or did he just bring you into this whole new world and just taught you everything?
No, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but I had gone to the dirt track and seen, late models and sprint cars. I didn't really know what was going on. I just thought it was cool, and there was dirt flying everywhere. So, and you had a good hot dog, so that was always fun. But with NASCAR, I had no clue. And now that I've learned all that goes into it, and that's another funny thing. Whenever we were first dating, I kept thinking, why is he going, like, why don't you just pass this guy? Like just floor it and get around this guy, And one time I told him that and he's like, it's not that easy. Okay. Every car does not run the same. There's aerodynamics, there's strategy, there's all this stuff that I had no idea about. And now that I do, I'm like mind blown with how much work goes into it each and every weekend. But yeah, I feel like I've finally gotten to a place where I know what's going on. I've learned the terminology and can kind of explain it to somebody else who might be where I'm at, but it's an awesome sport.
I mean, you get around the track pretty good now and don't have issues finding the haulers. So I would say you came a long way from the very beginning. And like I said, it's always so much fun having you and Kyle at the track. And, I know that it means a lot to you this weekend with the car that Kyle is going to be running, the pink car with your mother's name on it. And Charlotte, cool little story. You actually went to Charlotte and helped paint the walls pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And you put that on stall number 23, and cool little story, we accidentally picked stall number 23, and definitely was a pretty sweet moment when Meg did FaceTime you, and that's really cool. So we're happy to have you back at the track this weekend, but I'm going to go ahead and pass you over to Cameron and see what questions he has for you.
So, I know she commented earlier how I got excited when she mentioned Watkins Glen. I actually went up there for the first time back in beginning of September when the playoffs started for the Cup Series. I just happened to win 2 tickets for free, so I spent my entire Sunday just up at Watkins Glen, just enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the scenery, because upstate New York is really beautiful. And as a native New Yorker, I'm proud that we have a NASCAR track. But jumping right into it, my first question: how is it being a NASCAR wife, so to speak, for tracks such as like Daytona, Talladega, or even Atlanta with the new reconfiguration, where things are a little bit more like on edge, things are a little bit more chaotic. And like, we're at a track where basically anything can really happen.
Oh my gosh. So I say this all the time and I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I feel like when I get on the pit box, I become like a whole different person. And I've said that before. I don't know I don't know. I'm always like talking trash, which is not good. Like I want to be this person that's like, oh, like you're doing great, like, oh, let's just go around them and be kind. But I'm over here like, move him. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And I get so into it. But I love racetracks like that because I personally, and I could be wrong again, like I'm new to all this, so I could be so far off. And if I am, I apologize. But I feel like those kind of racetracks give drivers who might not have the opportunity for a really good finish or even a win more of a chance because you don't know what's going to happen because so much can happen in the time that you're there. So I do get on edge because like your day can end early at these kind of tracks. It just can. So that does make me nervous, but more than anything, Kyle does a really good job with avoiding wrecks. He's got a really good reflexes. He's normally really quick and avoids, and I'm like, praise God, because I don't want to see him get hurt. And I definitely don't want to see his day end early. But the only thing I really worry about is him getting caught up in somebody else's stuff. But I love those. I love the intense tracks where you don't know what's going to happen because, like I said, it gives Kyle, he's with an underfunded team right now, and it gives them so much chance and opportunity. And I love it. I absolutely love those tracks. And I think that's why.
Awesome. Yeah, I personally, I enjoy the super speedway races a lot more than, the short track races or the mile and a half races. Although I will say the road course racing, I think has gotten a little bit better over the years. But all in all, any super speedway race, whether it's Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta, my eyes are glued to the TV, like the entire time. Any other racetrack, I feel like I'm just like, kind of falling asleep. Um,
Yeah.
my next question before I pass it back to DLB, what's it been like working with Mario Goslin and DGM Racing, and the whole DGM crew this season?
Honestly, it has been so nice and so refreshing. They are such genuine people, and they're a family-owned company, and they really are. Like they bring whoever is racing with them and is with them for the season. They really do a great job at bringing them in and making them feel like family.
Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna pass it back to DLB and see if he has any more questions.
Absolutely. So, when Kyle climbs out of the car every week, you are the first person to his car with a water bottle, with Gatorade, whatever, just to make sure he's hydrated and taken care of. How does that, obviously that's so big for Kyle to have someone that supportive in his life, and it's such a good thing. How big of a help do you think that is for Kyle to have a cheerleader that's always going to be there for him up the pit box, no matter if he had an up or down day? You're the first one there of his car. I know that means a lot to him, and just how is that for you week by week?
I mean, I hope it helps. I hope it encourages him. And no, I know it does. He's told me multiple times how much he appreciates it. But, I've never wanted to just be, for me personally, like I just never wanted to be sitting up on the box, showing up right before the race, starts and then leaving right after. I feel like because we're married, it's now become our thing, and I want it to be our thing because I want to help as much as possible. I think, and for my opinion, I feel like a wife is supposed to be the help. And I feel like if you guys are unified in your businesses as well, then you are unstoppable. And I know he works really hard too. I mean, he busts his butt a lot. And so I feel like the least I can do for how hard he works, is be there, help with sponsors, connect with people and help him any way I can. And it's just become kind of like a family, like I said, like a little family thing. He does the driving and all the hard stuff, and I'll hand him a water bottle.
That's great. So, talk about having businesses ran together. Obviously, you help Kyle when you can, and then you got your own businesses. And sometimes you're not there at the track on Friday, or sometimes you'll miss race day because I believe you got a makeup business that you run on the side. And tell us a little bit about that and what you do behind the scenes that everyone doesn't know about.
I do makeup. Woo! I do, and it's so much fun. I love it. I love doing weddings. I love connecting with people. Yeah, I paint faces for a living, and it's great. And I love doing it.
That's incredible. So another thing is you understand social media. You have built your own following, and now you have took over your mother's Instagram account, and with the large following that she has had, what has that meant to you running Barbara's Instagram account?
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's honestly been so what I needed because her followers, they know who I am because of her. And after her passing, they have been so encouraging, so welcoming, and just so kind, like to have women who are there to encourage you and be there for you in a way that you need during the time that you need it. It's so important. And it's been wonderful. And the brands, like everyone has just been so welcoming. And it's so refreshing because I feel like so much on social media, so much bad happens on social media, like people for some reason love to be mean behind a screen. So it's been really nice to feel like I have a little community that's got my back in a way.
Absolutely. And, that's really the power of social media is having a community that has your back all the time. And that's something that it takes years and years and years to build. And I learned that with building my platforms over the years. So another thing is, obviously running that account, you understand social media, you understand having a following. Can you tell me about coaching Kyle and some of his social media posts? Because I know at Daytona, when he was sponsored by Wawa and Coca-Cola, you were coaching him through them posts, and he's like, stand this way, hold the Coca-Cola bottle this way, say it like this, and you were coaching him through all of it. And a lot of people don't see that behind the scenes, but you were so helpful, and he absolutely killed it. And that's just one moment that was engraved into me, because it obviously to have a wife that supportive is great, and you were just coaching him through every single step of the way of just what would be best for him to get more sponsors.
That's so nice. Like you guys are making me feel great. When my mom was blogging and here and everything, I honestly learned a lot from her. She would be getting photos done, and she would look at a photo and say, "Oh, this isn't right." And it would be the little details, and the little details matter. And that's something that I've kind of taken with me everywhere, whether it's how you treat people or, photos or PR or even makeup, like the little details matter. And especially when you're representing a brand, like they want the details to be perfect, if not perfect, then close to it. But yeah, Kyle and I feel like we work really well together. We kind of bounce ideas off each other, and we have a good time while we do it. So it makes it fun. Yeah, that was a fun race. That was really fun. I know what you're talking about too. And he had that giant Diet Coke with him.
That was a fun weekend with Wawa and everything that we did that week. I mean, and you talk about going around the infields earlier. That was some of your favorite moments from this year. So, like, at Daytona and the other tracks we did, that Talladega was another one. How's it been, right around the golf cart with Kyle, with the DriveSmart guys, handing out literally everything possible to the fans, whether if that's t-shirts, hats, water bottles, and just the experience we have got with that before some of these bigger races?
I always have a great time with the DriveSmart guys. Like they're hilarious. If you have never met them, you need to meet them because they're genuine, but they're hilarious. They're a good time. And I remember, maybe it was Dover, or maybe it was Talladega. You were there. I put on Kyle's other fire suit, and we went out outside of the fan zone. And I don't know if I was just like a prop or I was handing out the DriveSmart stuff, and people were like, "Oh, what car do you drive?" And I was like, "You do not want me in a car, okay?" Like that is not me. And they were disappointed, and I'm like, "No, really, like it's him." But that was really fun. I love handing out stuff. I love the dogs. The people that bring their dogs to the track, those are my people. And the people that have cornhole out. I love cornhole and I love the dogs. So those two, I will be at your RV hanging out. It's great.
So, for all our dog fans out there, you and Kyle have two doodles, I believe, and you got some funny stories about one of them that is a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, we have Oakley, who is like an angel. He's a golden doodle. He's 4, or maybe he's 5. I think he's 5 now. He's just sweet. He has separation anxiety. He just wants to be with you at all times. And then we have Aspen, who's 1, and he's a labradoodle, and he's an absolute psychopath. But together, they're great because he kind of helps Oakley with his separation anxiety. He's like, you can't be anxious about them leaving if you're distracted by me being crazy. So, but I love them. They are like, people are always like, oh, do you have kids? And we're like, no, we have dogs.
That's always the way to go. So one thing I really like about you and Kyle both is, I was raised very Christian, and both of y'all are super, super, super religious, and obviously has a very heavy walk in faith. And with the racing community and how up and down that can go, how important has that been to you?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. I feel like, sometimes people hear that you're religious and they think, oh, they go to church a lot, they pray a lot, they check off all the boxes, right? And it's so not that. It's so much more a relationship. And I really feel like, as Christians, we believe God has a plan for our life. And we might be up in the air and in limbo, and that is the hardest place to be, especially as a Christian, because you think, okay, what the heck is going on? What are you doing? Do you even care? Hello, and he does, and he always shows up, and it might not look how we want it to look, but he knows what's best for us. And I think going back and really just meditating on the promises of God has been really big for both of us, because it reminds us that he has a plan. And like I said, if we don't know what it is, that's okay, because he's going to make a way, because he always does, and we just have to do our part. So it's definitely the foundation of what we base our lives and our decisions on 100%.
Absolutely. I feel like faith is so important with staying positive and looking for that next thing in life when things can look so unknown. Is so important to continue moving forward. So I'm going to pass it back to Cameron. I think he wants to ask you about some of your favorite bands here. So both of y'all had a very interesting conversation about music beforehand.
Yeah. So before the show, we were talking about Breaking Benjamin, Memphis May Fire, all those bands. You even mentioned that you enjoy some of Taylor Swift's music. What is your craziest concert story?
Oh my gosh. I've never been like, I don't have any crazy. I always just go and watch. Like, I just people watch. Like, I've never been the crowd surfer. I've been to some crazy. Oh, I did get okay, this is so crazy. People are gonna be like, who the heck is this chick? I was at a metal show, and it was A Day to Remember, and they opened up the mosh pit, and they were trying to do this thing called, tell me if I'm wrong, because I know you know what I'm talking about, the Wall of Death. Is that right?
You got it. You got it right.
Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like sitting here talking about Jesus, and now I'm talking about the Wall of Death. They're like, who is this chick? But yeah, and I got knocked over, and I know it's not that big of a deal, but for me, it was like one of my first metal concerts, and I was like, oh, I've been assaulted, but it's like, whatever. It's just, if you go to one of those concerts, you're gonna get pushed over. Yeah. I don't really have any crazy stories. I've seen other people like absolutely insane, and that's always really entertaining. Yeah. I have a very diverse playlist. I have a very I'm all over the place with my music. My brother growing up, he absolutely loves rock and metal music. And my cousin, he was in a band, and they were like a metal rock kind of mix. And so I would go to their shows, and it was just something in the family, and it helped me and my brother really connect. And so I kind of got into it. Like I said, I like Memphis Mayfire. I love all that stuff. And people never expect it because they're like, what in tarnation? Who is this girl? Like, what? But yeah, I'm all over the place. And then I'll be like, okay, well, that was a good song. Now let's listen to Taylor Swift and then Brandon Lake. So
Right. I think I think we have to expose you to like those underground metal shows, like those basement shows that cost like $5 to get in. Everybody's just going absolutely crazy in the mosh pit, or like the whole room just becomes a mosh pit. We got to take you to one of those
yeah,
type of shows. That's where you really have a blast.
I might not make it out.
Oh no, you will. Trust me, you will. If I could do it, you could do it. I think my next and final question before I pass it back to DLB, it's going to be concert related or music related. Who is what artists have you seen the most? Like you can count on both your hands how many times you've seen them.
Oh gosh. I have seen, I wish it was Taylor Swift. I saw Taylor Swift once. But honestly, I've seen Kenny Chesney. I went through this whole phase in high school. He's just like classic country, always good. He puts on really good shows, just great. I've seen him about 4 times. Um, who else have I seen a lot? I've seen him. I've seen Elevation Worship, but we used to go to Elevation, so I feel like every time we were in church, we were getting a show, and it was great. Their music is incredible. Um, yeah, Kenny Chesney, me and Kenny, we've had some times.
Honestly, you can't go wrong with classic country. You really can't.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he, like I said, he puts on a really, really good show, and he's all about that kind of tropical vibe, and I'm a huge, huge beach person, so I I love going to see him.
Kind of like Jimmy Buffett vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the classic country gets overshadowed by the pop country, and that's
Yeah,
kind of upsetting. But I'm
just like
that
all of it.
yeah. I'm gonna pass it back to DLB. DLB, take it away.
Absolutely. So, getting thrown into the NASCAR industry and being there week in and week out, has there been any big surprises about the NASCAR lifestyle? Because I'd imagine, you're on a plane every single week, hotel every single week, traveling every single week. Has there been any surprises, and just how has that affected you getting thrown into it like you have over the past couple years?
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is gonna sound so silly, and y'all can laugh at me because I don't know why, but it might be because of my faith, but like I almost don't even want to say it, but like how much cursing there is. And I know that's so silly. I just said I love metal music, but like cursing for some reason, it bothers me so much. And again, like for me as a Christian, I think, okay, like everyone has, things they struggle with, of course. Like I'm pretty sure I dropped the F-bomb earlier. It's fine. But it's like it's something I've had to get used to because I feel like it's so prevalent in the garage area. And for me, like I'm preacher's family, like we don't even say shut up, And so that's something I've had to get used to. But then also, I think just how go, go, go it is. I'm like, you guys are able to function after, you know, doing this for like 2 days straight, and then they get up the next day and they're fine, or they do it again. And I'm like, the people who work in NASCAR are animals. Like they are made for this 100%. And that's something I've had to get used to because I'm normally like, I can maybe do it for like a day and then I need to sleep or I get sick and all this stuff. So that, especially Kyle, I'm like, you are an animal. Like, how do you keep going? It's crazy. It's impressive is what it is. It's very impressive.
I agree. What's that, Cameron?
I could just imagine what the Cup guys go through when they do double duty. They race the Xfinity Series race on Saturday, and then they get up the next day and run a longer race. That's impressive.
I'm like, what? Do y'all go? I know. I was telling Kyle that the other day because they had a couple Cup guys. I think it was Ross. Ross was racing with Kyle at DGM, and then the next day he had his Cup race. And I was like, holy freaking smokes, how is this dude alive? Like, I see how tired Kyle is after one race, and I'm like, homeboy's gonna get up and do it again? Oh my gosh, I would need like, I don't know, I would need something.
It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, that's been kind of my biggest surprise because I got thrown into this industry. I was just a YouTuber, got picked up, and then boom, you're traveling half the schedule. And then I learned like there's a lot of cursing and you know, everyone in the industry is super open. Partying is something a lot of people do. And you're going from pretty much get up at 6 a.m. and you're going to about 1 in the morning just because it takes a couple hours to relax after the long day. And it's like, it's crazy just how much going that there is, and then it's always on to the next thing, on to the next thing. As soon as you unpack, it's time to repack. As soon as you unpack, it's time to repack.
Yeah.
And it never slows down at all. But you know, I think the off season is gonna be fun. Are you gonna be doing anything fun in the off season? Got any fun plans for that? Because I know you've probably been waiting for it for a while.
So yeah, so Kyle's sister is getting married on November 30th. So we're gonna go do the wedding. I'm so excited for that. And then our 1-year wedding anniversary is like 2 days after, so that'll be fun. And then just time with thank you, yes, thank you. And then just time in general with family. I love Christmas. Christmas is like my favorite holiday. So gonna do all the cheesy crap, watch all the Hallmark movies. I love it. So that, and then I don't know, we'll see.
Elf is my movie. That's my go-to for Christmas movies. So, I mean, probably the most relatable Christmas character we can find. But speaking of me, how annoying has it been having this cameraman for YouTube follow you and Kyle around every week?
I love it. Well, you're like our friend, so it's fun. And I can say stuff, and then I'll be like, actually, can you edit that out? Is this going to be muted? My light just died. I had a whole setup.
No.
Oh, well, it's fine. Not the light. Okay, it's fine. But it was so bright, wasn't it? Oh my gosh. But no, I love having you around. It's so fun. It's so much fun because we can cut up and we can just talk trash, and it's great. I love it.
It's been fun, and we made a lot of really cool content this year. So when you were wearing the fire suit and everyone was like asking you for autographs and pictures with you, and like they thought you were a full-on race car driver. Are we ever gonna get you in a go-kart, a Legends car? Like, is there any chance we can make that happen? Even if DriveSmart says, "Hey, we'll fund this."
Yes.
Could we put you in a Legends car or something?
They actually did.
They did. Can we
Yes,
hear about
because
that?
They did. I was actually supposed to race the Better Half Dash, and that was the week that my mom went to heaven. So I was like, probably not gonna happen, you know, probably not wise. And I had never done go-karting before, so I was like, this is just probably better that I don't. But I plan on next season, hopefully, if everything falls into place, doing the Better Half Dash.
We would love to see that. Hey, and if that happens, just know you're gonna have a cameraman documenting everything, so we can put it on YouTube. We can strap some GoPros in there. We'll be set. We'll get some golden content. So, don't go.
This is what's bad is I'll be that person that's like talking trash. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna tear it up. I'm gonna get out there and be like running last, wrecking out.
Can we get like a NASCAR radioactive style edit in there somewhere?
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll make it happen.
100%.
So a race car future is not out of question. So I know that you have plans for running that. Do you feel like was Kyle coaching you at all, or was he planning on giving you like some top coaching? Because I know he used to run like Bandoleros and stuff back when he was like a kid. So I mean, I think he'll be a pretty good coach for you.
Yeah, you would think. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be your spotter. I was like, no, you're not. You're not going to be my spotter. I'm so sorry. Eric Holmes, he already knows about it. I asked him. He's my spotter. I can't have Kyle spot me because I would get mad because he'll say things and think I know what the heck he's talking about. Like, I just learned what back or down means, okay? And he'll say things and he'll whatever, and I'll be like, what the flip does that mean? And then we'll end up fighting, and it's just, I'm like, for the sake of our marriage, it's just not gonna happen. And I would be more nervous. Like, if he was spotting me, he used to kill it in like Legends and Bandoleros and go-karts. I can't like have that coaching me. I'm terrified. Eric did too, but I feel like I'm not married to Eric, so it's okay. Like less on the line.
That's so wild. I mean, it's it's so funny, but I mean, the relationship between you and Kyle is always a funny one. But hopefully, we can see you in a race car one day. I think that would definitely be entertaining. So I'm gonna jump back to the Instagram conversation, and obviously, Barbara and the Instagram account that you took over with her and carrying her legacy. Can you tell me? You said that she was really into blogging and stuff like that. How did she build her following and create her platform and legacy that she has built over time?
I mean, honestly, her friend Monica told her 5 years ago, you absolutely should do this. You would be great at it because my mom was one of the most genuine people. Like she would tell you what she was going through. She would tell you how she was going through it. She wouldn't fake anything. It was always, okay, this is kind of what you see. And I feel like that's what draws people in sometimes is because there's so much fake on the internet. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had a freaking ring light. Okay. Like I'm trying here. Okay. But at the same time, I feel like that authenticity is what people crave in a way because it helps them feel like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not, they're a real person. They've got issues just like I've got issues, or, oh, they're not the only one that struggles with this, or, oh, they like the same things I like. And they're not, trying to be all, yeah, yeah. So I really feel like that is the one thing, authenticity, and then showing her faith and how she lives really kind of grew her community of women 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so cool here, and I see a lot in that with you as well, where you're always very open with how you are, whether it's a stressful day or whatever, and you're very upfront about it and don't hide your emotions, which is really cool to see, hearing that Barbara was the same way. So my next question is, you started going to the track with Kyle every week, and over time, he's running these races and doing good. When he had his first crash that you've seen in person, do you got a story about that? Or was it just like, oh, he crashed, okay, care center, I've seen everyone else do this? Or was it like, oh no, he's just got into a crash, this is horrible?
It was so the first like big crash, I had seen him have like a couple, like fender bender, I don't know what you call them, the little bump ups and stuff. And oh, everyone's mad, whatever. But the first wreck that I saw that took him out and he had to go to the infield care center was Daytona. It was at a restart, typical. And what was the year? It was right before Minot Snyder did his flip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but he did basically like a backflip with his car. And I'm so glad Kyle wasn't there for that. But it was before that restart. It was a pretty hard hit, and I had heels on. I took my heels off and I ran down to the infield care center because I was like, he's told me these cars are safe, and you're like in a cage and you have your seat and helmet and everything else. But when you see that, you're like, okay, that looked like it hurt. And I don't care what you're strapped into. Like, I'm going to be worried, right? So, yeah, there have been plenty of times where I've taken off and someone sees like, oh, she's trying to go to the infield care center. Like one guy gave me a ride in his truck. We were at a super speedway. I think it was Talladega. Like people are so nice. I'll be like, the panic in my eyes. I'm like, where's the infield care center? They're like, that way. Or, oh, you want to get on our golf cart? I'm like, this is so nice. These people know I'm freaking out. I have gotten better about it though, because now I've learned that he's not really hurt. He's just mad that it happened. Because whenever I see him, he's not like shaken up or anything like that. It's more just like, I'm so mad. I'm so disappointed, So I'm not booking it like I used to.
Speaking of crashes, Kyle took a pretty hard hit at Michigan. I don't know if you was there for that one. I wasn't there, but he got hit pretty hard in that one, and it seemed like even a month later, he's like, oh, my arm's still kind of hurting, where it's like he'd try to like bend it a certain way and it would still be hurting him. Can you walk us a little bit through that? Because that doesn't necessarily get the media coverage when a driver does get hurt, because we've seen the crash, but we never really got the media covering like, hey, it's a month later and, he's still a little beat up.
Yeah, that one scared me because I was not there. And of course, if something happens, I want to be there, right? And not that I could do anything, but mentally, I think it just helps me. But I was actually leaving my house. There were like, I don't know, maybe like 9 laps. It was like the last 10 laps at least. And I was leaving my house to go to my aunt's house for a birthday party. So I turned it off. I was like, okay, there's 10 laps left. It's okay. Like they were having car problems. So I'm thinking, okay, it's basically done. I'll turn it on while I'm driving. Yes, I know that's not safe, but I'll turn it on, listen to it while I drive. And I got to my car. From the time that I turned the TV off and got to my car, I was getting texts from people like, oh my gosh, glad to see Kyle get out of that. Oh my gosh, wow. Glad, Kyle's okay. Nick Terry, the NASCAR chaplain, heading to the infield care center to check on Kyle. And I'm like, the freak did I miss in the 5 minutes? You know what I mean? I'm like, what? And so I turned it on in my car and they were showing the replay. It was on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, all that stuff. And I was like, holy freaking crap. Because it wasn't, it wasn't a wreck. It was something broke while he's going fast as crap and you're instantly hitting a wall. And I remember I picked him up from the airport that night and he was limping. He had a massive bruise on his arch of his foot where his foot he slammed into the wall at an angle and his foot had slammed into the pedal. So if that makes any sense, his foot, everything was pushed kind of to the side. So he was getting impact with the pedal, with the rib support. He actually had ribs dislocated. He was pretty banged up, and that scared me. That scared me pretty good. But he's actually, I think the worst of that's over now. He still gets sore sometimes. Like after races, he'll be like, that area still hurts. But, they told us for some reason the ribs, if anything happens with the ribs, that's a long and painful recovery. That just takes forever.
I'm sure not once he thought about getting out of that car because it was on to the next week, on a Daytona, on with the rest of the schedule, and obviously them hits, like, I think Darlington was right after, and he had another hit, or was that the week before? I forget, but
it was Daytona.
It was.
He had Daytona right after. I'm like,
most dangerous one.
Are you psycho? You're going to race Daytona right after? I'm telling you, the drivers are a different breed.
Yes, they are.
So obviously Kyle does a lot of like fan appearances, like what we did over with Wawa and any other autograph session that we would do throughout the season, whether it's with DriveSmart. How is it when you're at them events with Kyle and he's signing away over there, and you're just trying to be supportive and be off to the side, or do you just love being a part of it?
I love being a part of it. I try to just kind of, stay away, but like I try to do it for the content. I do try to get content while it's all going on. But it's cool because sometimes you'll see people who might follow me as well, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey," and I'm like, oh, "Hey, a new friend," So that's always fun. But I love watching. I love how much people, love him and love the sport and get excited about it, especially kids. I love when kids are excited to meet him. That makes me so happy.
Gotcha. Is there anything about you that, or Kyle even, that maybe the viewers don't know or don't see on camera that you would like the world to know, or is it just what you see is what you get with you all the time? Because you seem very open.
We're kind of what you see is what you get. I mean, this is pretty much it. Let me think. We're kind of boring. This is pretty much it.
No, you're not boring. But no, it's been an amazing year, and it's been crazy having you and Kyle at the track. So we're headed into Homestead. I know Kyle has been hitting the sim like crazy the past 2 weeks from what he's been posting. And how do you think he's mentally prepared to be heading into Homestead, which is the final primary sponsor with DriveSmart this year? We got a beautiful paint scheme, and it's Miami. How do you feel about the weekend going into it?
Oh, he's going to do great. I think he's going to do great. I say that every week, but he loves Miami. He loves Homestead. He loves that you gotta ride the wall. You gotta to get that speed. He loves it. He always has a blast. I'm not going to be there this weekend, which is really sad. I have a wedding I'm doing makeup for, but he's going to do great. I have a feeling.
I hate you're not gonna be there.
I hope so. I'll be yelling at the TV. What?
I said I hate you're not gonna be there.
You just imagine
I know,
she's
I
fixing.
know, I do too.
I could just imagine she's fixing somebody's eyeliner, and then 30 seconds later she's yelling at the TV because a caution came out.
That messed up our strategy.
Yeah, I
Zoop.
actually did. I did turn it on. I was doing a friend's makeup, and I can't remember what race it was, but they were doing practice and qualifying, and I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna need this on. Okay, you don't understand. My sanity depends on it." So I had it on. They're loving it. I'm like, "This is great."
Absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and probably wrap it up at that point. Is there any social media platforms you'd like a shout out or anyone you'd like to thank before we wrap up episode number 20 of the Pit Crew podcast?
Yeah, just thank you to DriveSmart for all you've done for us this season. It's been great having you guys on board. It's been fun. Make sure to follow us on at Kyle Weatherman and at Brunette by the Sea is my blog. And yeah, and Dustin, I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. It's been a fun year. Thank you so much for coming on, Meg Weatherman. Oh, Cameron, we just had a fun interview there with Meg. That was episode number 20. I think we learned more about Meg than we ever had before.
I think we did. And you know what? I think I say this like every week at this point, but I think this is probably one of the best episodes I've ever been a part of. I think this is the most fun I've ever had. Just sharing concert stories, sharing similar interests in music, crazy stories at the track, all that stuff. But hey, DLB, I think it's time to give away some merchandise. Wouldn't you agree?
I think we should. So, if you want to win this cool Kyle Weatherman t-shirt, all you got to do is type something in the chat, and we're going to do a random draw. And it looks like the winner is going to be Alan Hall. So, Alan, what you got to do is go and hit up Go DriveSmart on X, on Twitter. Send them a tweet, send them a DM, and they'll get right back to you and get your shipping information. And you'll take on this cool Kyle Weatherman t-shirt. So, congratulations on that. With that said, I think we should go ahead and wrap things up here with episode number 20. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in this one. Next week, episode number 21 of the Pit Crew podcast. I'll catch you all in that one. It's going to be a fun one. Homestead weekend. Let's get after it.
Be sure you check out DriveSmart.auto.